So let's talk a bit about creating characters in perspective. So do recall that when you construct your character in our modified stick figure, we have a height axis and we also have the width axis. In a three-dimensional form, then you also know that the character would also have a depth axis. So if I'm going to place my character inside this box, I would delineate or slice these for the shoulders and the pelvis. And essentially, I'm placing my shoulder line here and my pelvic line here. And that's how we do things in isometric. So if you know how to construct your character in isometric, then you can easily translate that into 1-point, 2-point, or 3-point perspective since you already know the construction. You will assume that the character is a 3D object. So let's say I have a character facing front and I want the character to be doing this with the feet front. So let's create this character in 2-point perspective very quickly. I would want this character to be straddling over the horizon line. Now we have 2-point perspective. So we will create our basic box, or you could just do the X underneath. So I'm going to do that. So this is now the X. And then I'm going to bring it up. So assuming that I want the height of the character to be this high, then it's a matter of dividing where the shoulder line and the pelvic line are. So assuming that I want the character to be facing this way, then shoulder line here, following this vanishing point, and pelvic line here, following this vanishing point. Of course, since you also have the arms, knees, elbows also aligned, then you would have to establish these alignments using the vanishing points as well. So since I have the shoulder and I have the pelvic line, then I can now do shoulders right here. This is the body, pelvic line, and then since the legs are spread out a bit, then I could just eyeball that. And the direction of the feet will follow that vanishing point. Knees will follow this vanishing point over here. And if I raise my arm up, this arm right there, then these have to align. So I will now follow this vanishing point to find the elbow and that other wrist or hand. So since this is at the bottom, I'm just going to place this at the bottom. And there we go. So once you have that, you can volumize. We'll place the pillow right there. For the chest area, we follow as well the vanishing point going here and then curve it down there. Pelvic area. And we can now create that character, volumize that. Now, since the character, again, the head is above, then we see more of the bottom of the head, and here is essentially where the eyes are going to go. So let's do another. Let's just do one example again. Let's place our horizon line right here. Now, what kind of character are we going to do? Let's do a character that's jumping. So from the side view, let's say I want my character to, this is the pose of my character from the side. And from the front, this is now the pose. So what's important when you're planning things like these, again, is to think about how all those elements are aligned. So the knees have to align, the arms have to align, all parts now have to align. This is important if you want to be really precise with the slicing. So let's go to our horizon line and our vanishing points. I'm going to establish that X. Bring this up from the center, going up. So now, if this is the center line, let's assume that this is the center line. This is the bottom. To make it clearer, I'm just going to make a very rough basic box. Just rough this out so that we can see what's going on. And there we have it. So there's a lot of distortion that's going on right now. So let's assume that this is the box that we're working with. So now let's slice across the shoulders and across the pelvic area, which is right here. Shoulders right there. Pelvic area will be around there, following our vanishing point. So let's just complete that right there. So if my center line is right here, I know that the head is a little forward. So I'm going to find, since this is the slice that we're working with, that slice right there, I'm just going to X this out just to find the middle, because the head is right here in the middle. So if this is the center or the middle, I'm just going to bring that head a little forward. Then bring it back to the side, bring it back now to the pelvic area. This is that line. This is that slice of the pelvic area. Then we're going to bring it back. Now you can see that the 2 feet are here in front, right here. So the feet are approximately here and here. And then you can eyeball the rest. You have the knee going up there. Then the other knee levels with this knee. There. And the arms, shoulder line is right there. Then you can follow this line. And the other goes at the back. So if I'm going to enlarge that, this is what that character looks like in perspective. So then you can start to volumize that. You can volumize that character now. So do experiment with your own characters and see how far you can go. Of course, the further you can go, the better, so that you can draw your character in whatever pose you want in perspective. Now, if I want to place a character in this space, again, it will also apply that the basic box for characters also have to be in 45-degree angles. So for the table, if I'm going to, my table is essentially like this from the top view at 45 degrees as well. So if you want to place a character, by default, you would want the character to be at 45 degrees angle, at 45-degree angles. We will talk about what if you want another angle. For now, it's 45 degrees. So let's say I want the character to be here, facing this way. So I'm going to construct that basic box. So that position is somewhere, if this is the center, that's right there. The character is around here. So I'm just going to start building that ground for that character. Or you can always start with the X. Why would we want to start with the X when the X is no more? Joke. So this is the bottom, or we could do that X thing, following again our vanishing points. And then from the center, so I have the X right there, bring that up. And then if the character is, let's say, 1.75 meters, then we'll do the measurement again from here. This is 1, 2, 1.5, 1.75. 1.75, let's do a reference line across here along the wall. So that's 1.75. This height is 1.75. Then let's bring this point of the character at the ground. Let's bring that to the wall. Bring that to the wall. So that's there. Bring it up to 1.75. Then bring it back. So this is now the height of the character if the character is 1.75. Pretty much the same process as shown in the 1-point perspective. So if you want your character to be here or anywhere in the room, bring it to the wall and bring it up. Find that height along here and then find that intersection. This is now where your character will be. So you know that a character's basic construction, you have the shoulder line, you have the hip line, the pelvic area, and you have all of your proportions, whatever proportions you've established for your character, and you'll now use those perspective projections to place your reference points. So this is my shoulder line, this can be my pelvic area, and then, sorry, this is the shoulder, this is the pelvic area because this is where the character is standing. And now I'm going to use that. So the direction of the feet will follow this vanishing point. The elbow line follows that vanishing point. And now let's build that character. Add the pillow. And the legs. Knee line will follow the vanishing point as well. as well as the wrists. And there you have your character in 2-point perspective. So if I want to, let's say, place a character here, leaning over the table, I want this character to be leaning over this table, then we'll establish that X, let's say here, that's the vertical line. So we have a vertical line right there. Then find the height. How do we find the height? This is where the character is standing. Using that perspective, that vanishing point, bring this towards the wall. 1.75 for the character height. That's there. We'll bring this point up and find 1.75 using our vanishing point. It's right there, that intersection. This now we will use to find that character height here. So this is where the character is standing. Bring it up. And that's the character height, standing right here. So I'm going to build that character. I know that I want him leaning over the table. So if the pelvic area is around this high, I can bring that body forward. These are the legs, following that vanishing point. Shoulder line will follow this. Place that head. So now I have the character leaning on the table. Then we'll pillow that. So these divisions also follow the vanishing point. So now you have your two characters in 2-point perspective in your 2-point perspective space.